He blended into the crowd. He moved like a tourist. He reached where no one should, until the guard reacted and showed everyone what trained stillness can become in 1 second. He looked like any other tourist, which of course was the point. Cargo shorts, fleece vest, cheap souvenir hat with a little British flag on it. A plastic camera strap hung around his neck, though the camera wasn't real, and slung across his shoulder was a backpack, light, empty, but well-positioned to conceal a quick movement if needed. He moved through the crowd near Buckingham Palace with the slow, casual rhythm of someone who didn't want to be noticed, but did want to be seen. He smiled politely, pointed at landmarks, nodded as if listening to a podcast. Every part of him said, "Just another guy on vacation." But his eyes were working, calculating, waiting. His name wasn't on any list. No priors, no warrants. He wasn't famous on the internet. Not yet. But he had a plan to change that. A viral one. All he needed was 10 seconds. 10 seconds near one of the royal guards. Not to attack, not to hurt. Just enough time to walk up and grab the rifle. Not rip it away, not fire it, just touch it. Long enough to make a scene. Long enough for the internet to say, he did what no one dared. He'd already practiced the timing, watched YouTube videos of tourists posing next to the guards, studied how close people got, how no one was ever stopped. He knew the script. The guards don't move, the guards don't react. But no one had ever really tested that, had they? He smiled to himself as he spotted the perfect mark. A tall, lean guard in pristine red, standing like a statue near the main gate. Rifle at his side, jaw locked, hat shadowing his eyes. Perfect. The fake tourist adjusted his hat, zipped up his vest, and whispered to himself, "Time to break the unbreakable." Then he stepped into the crowd and began walking toward history. He moved like he belonged there. Blending seamlessly with the steady stream of tourists, the man slowly navigated his way to the front of the crowd, never rushing, never making sudden moves. He even stopped to take a fake photo with his dummy camera, just to keep up appearances. Around him, the usual chatter buzzed. Families spoke in different languages. Children pointed at the guards. Phones clicked. Selfie sticks waved overhead. No one noticed him. And that was the whole point. He zeroed in on one particular guard, the same one he'd picked out moments ago. Tall, lean, expression carved from granite. Boots polished to a mirror sheen, rifle held vertically with the precision of a parade drill. He hadn't moved an inch in over 20 minutes, just the kind of man people said couldn't move. The tourist inched forward, slipping through a group of German backpackers and a pair of newlyweds. He got close. Very close. Close enough to see the brass buttons shine. Close enough to count the threads in the white gloves. A woman next to him turned and smiled, assuming he just wanted a picture. "Go ahead," she said in a cheerful American accent. "Stand next to him." He gave her a nod and a tight smile. His heart was calm. Not because he wasn't nervous. He was. But he'd trained himself to override that part. That's what made him good. He positioned himself just off the guard's shoulder, camera hanging from his neck, hand resting casually at his side. Then he leaned slightly toward the rifle. "Just for the internet," he whispered under his breath. And then, in one sharp, practiced move, he reached. Not slow, not gentle. He grabbed for the rifle's leather sling with 3 fingers, just enough to tug it forward, but he never got that far, because in that exact moment, the rifle didn't move. The guard did. It happened faster than any of them could comprehend. His fingers had barely brushed the sling when the entire dynamic of the plaza shifted, like a ripple through stone. The guard moved, not slowly, not clumsily, but with the terrifying precision of someone trained to act only when it mattered. In one fluid motion, the royal guard's left arm snapped down, grabbing the man's wrist mid-reach. Gasps exploded from the crowd. A few phones dropped. A child screamed. But the guard wasn't finished. His right foot pivoted cleanly across the stone, angling his body in a way that kept his rifle safe and his center of gravity perfect. Then, with a short, sharp twist, he pulled the man's arm outward, spun him off balance, and drove him downward in a controlled, flawless takedown. No shouting, no theatrics, just technique. The fake tourist hit the ground hard, face down, one arm pinned under the guard's knee. His hat flew off. His plastic camera clattered across the cobblestone. And his voice? Gone. The plaza stood frozen. No one moved. No one even blinked. The same man who had stood like a statue 5 seconds ago was now kneeling, steady, silent, and absolutely in control. The royal guard didn't look around, didn't raise his voice, didn't even look angry. He just held the intruder down, effortlessly, his face calm beneath the shadow of his bearskin hat. It wasn't rage. It was discipline in motion. And for the man pinned to the ground, that discipline hit harder than any punch ever could. The man didn't fight. He couldn't. His chest was pressed to the cold stone, one arm twisted behind his back in a textbook control hold. The royal guard's knee rested across his shoulders, not aggressively, but with complete authority. It was the kind of pressure that said, "You move when I allow it, and not a second sooner." The crowd was stunned into silence. Phones were raised, but no one spoke. No one dared. Even the habitual gigglers, the ones who came for viral moments, stood frozen, breath caught somewhere between shock and reverence. A few whispered, "Did you see that?" He didn't even hesitate. "That guy tried to grab the rifle." Security was already on the move. 2 palace officers pushed through the line of spectators, cutting across the plaza with focused steps. They didn't need to ask questions. They had seen it. The guard didn't say a word. He simply looked up, nodded once, and released the man from the hold. The officers took over. Wrists twisted into cuffs, backpack searched, plastic camera examined. The fake tourist didn't struggle. His face was pale now, his cocky tourist act shattered beyond repair. He tried to explain something about a prank, about content, about it being harmless. But the crowd wasn't listening. They weren't here for his story. They were looking at the man in red. The royal guard stood back up. No dusting off, no visible emotion. He returned to position with machine-like precision. Rifle upright, back straight, eyes forward. He didn't gloat. He didn't smirk. He simply resumed. And in doing so, he reminded everyone watching that his silence had never meant weakness. It had meant restraint, until it no longer had to. The video surfaced within the hour. One clip, 35 seconds, posted with the caption, "He tried to grab the rifle." The guard didn't just stand there. It didn't take long to catch fire. By the end of the day, it had already racked up over 12 million views. By morning, it was everywhere. Comment sections exploded. Even military veterans reposted it, one saying, "That wasn't a takedown. That was tradition defending itself." The man in the video, whose name quickly surfaced, tried to spin it as a social experiment. It didn't work. Nobody was buying it. Because it wasn't the takedown that people remembered. It was the transition. From total stillness to total control. From centuries of silence to one silent moment of decisive action. And the guard? He gave no statement, no interview, no viral follow-up. The next day, he was back in uniform. Same rifle, same post, same stillness. But now, people didn't just walk by. They stopped. Not to laugh, not to bark, not to pose, to witness. because one step had told them everything they never understood about the royal guards. They don't move often, but when they do, you'll never forget it.